What's going on, guys? Back at it again with another Mirri build for you guys on the channel. This one is actually going to be a special build for Mirri. A build that I'm calling the ULTI-GEN build. For obvious reasons, this is called the ULTI-GEN. That is because this build, all it is for the sole purpose of generating ultimate so that she can utilize her ultimate as much as humanly possible, because her ultimate is that good, in my opinion. So enough yapping, guys. I want to kind of just jump into this build. This build was actually pretty exciting, pretty fun in my opinion, and has a lot of potential for you to do a lot of damage output. Because of the nature of this build, however, when we get to the part of this video where we do the solo, quote-unquote solo boss fight, really, it's not really gonna be a boss fight per se. I just want to demonstrate the fact that she goes through all of her skills quite fast, and on top of that, she actually uses her ultimate very frequently. So as long as I get that point across in the boss fight, that's my only objective. But with that being said, if you're excited for this video, guys, do me a huge favor. Drop a like on this video. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, because it really does help this channel grow. So with that being said, let's jump into this build. Alright, guys, so I want to start off with the Dark Elf passives in terms of dynamic, because there is an aspect to this build that is going to take advantage of her Dark Elf passive, which, as it reads, is increases damage done by 3% and healing done by 3%. Now, the 3% damage output is really going to buff your ultimate, even though it's not by a lot. 3% isn't a lot, but it is going to buff your ultimate just that much more. But what I'm really more interested in is the healing done, because the secondary aspect to this build is a little bit of self-sustaining heals and a little bit of heals for you and your party. So this is going to help that much more for that purpose. Of course, the primary focus to this is ULTI-GEN, as hence the name of the build itself, but the secondary purpose is to self-sustain not just herself, but also you as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and go into our first skill, which is Parallel. Most of this build is going to surround itself with this specific skill. This skill has a cooldown of 16 seconds, and it reads as Mirri barters with Oblivion for power, generating 50 ultimate. This skill is imperative for this specific build because of the ULTI-GEN capabilities of this. 50 ultimate every 16 seconds is a lot, and there's another skill, which we'll get into in a second, that's going to allow this skill to basically be activated a lot quicker. So this skill, again, is very important for this specific build. In the number 2 slot, we have Life Absorption. As I said before, the second objective for this build is a little bit of self-sustaining health for her and for you as well. So because of that, this skill exists. The cooldown is 12 seconds, and it reads as Mirri steals an enemy's life force, dealing 4,481 magic damage and healing themselves or an ally around them for 9,570 health. So this, again, is a little bit of life sustainment or health sustainment for her and for you, depending on who needs it more, of course. On top of that, it does deal a little bit of damage, but of course that's probably like it's not even close to the objective that we're trying to fulfill here with this build. So the damage really isn't important, because you're going to be the one doing all of the damage, right? So this is going to allow you to focus more on the DPS when her ultimate is going off, rather than having to focus on self heals. In the number 3 is Life Siphon. The cooldown for this one's a little bit higher than average, at 16 seconds, and it reads as Mirri siphons the vigor from the blood of enemies nearby, dealing 4,481 magic damage and healing themselves and their allies for 4,785 health. This is the exact same thing as this, but instead of being her or you, this is her and you. So it deals a little bit of magic damage, again, the same concept as a Life Absorption, but it also heals for a little bit as well. So between this and this, you have a pretty decent amount of life sustainment going on, but that's not all. On top of that, we have blood transfusion. Mirri infuses an ally with blood, healing them for 14,350 health over 8 seconds. This skill is 100% a heal for you. Again, while her ultimate is up, having the capabilities of having to focus 100% solely on your DPS instead of self-heals is just going to help with the output of DPS just that much more. So that's why I equipped her with 3 heals, taking advantage of her dynamic passive, and healing not just her, but also you, and specifically you with blood transfusion. Again, this will allow you to focus more on the DPS output when her ultimate is up. Last but not least, in terms of your regular or her regular skills, is haste. In order for this to be able to be activated, she will have to have 5 pieces of light armor equipped. So that's a little bit of a spoiler on what's coming in the gear section, but nonetheless, in order for this to be able to be equipped or used, you will have to have 5 pieces of light armor equipped on her. But it reads as, Mirri focuses their magical energies inward, resetting the cooldown of all of their other abilities. This essentially is a hard reset for all of the skills on the bar. And again, the primary focus is this number 1 slot, which is at a high 16 seconds. So the faster you can have this up, the better, because if you are able to have this go off at 50 ultimate, let's just say as a scenario, she uses her ultimate and immediately uses this, that's 50 ultimate right off the bat. She goes through her bar and then uses this haste, automatically able to use this again, having her in less than a second with 100 ultimate. It's pretty remarkable, pretty fantastic. This skill is absolutely fantastic. The only thing that I have a major complaint about is the fact that the cooldown is at 36 seconds, so it's really, really high. So it's not a scenario that's going to happen all the time, but it will happen quite often in boss fights or longer fights for that matter. In terms of the ultimate, of course, impeccable shot. This is the bread and butter of this build. This is what you're working towards in this specific build. The cost of the ultimate itself is 188 ultimate, and it reads as, Mirri marks an enemy and exposes their weakness, causing them to take 20% more damage for 3 seconds. While the enemy is exposed, they build up to a single killing shot, unleashing a massive bolt that deals 26,883 physical damage. Now, the actual damage itself for this ultimate is a lot, but it's not the primary focus of this specific build. However, as I said before, 26,883 physical damage is a pretty good number to have. And the fact that she's going to be using this quite often really is going to be a pretty decent amount of damage output coming from Mirri right off the bat, just because she's able to dish out this ultimate over and over and over, which you guys are going to see later on. It's pretty remarkable, to say the least. But where this ultimate really shines, and which this build actually really shines, is the first half of this build, which allows you to dish out 20% more damage for the 3 seconds that it's active. For those 3 seconds, you are able to dish out 20% more damage, which is going to be very frequent. Because of this, the damage output of you and your group is going to be substantially improved because of this ultimate. And there's that. Let's go ahead and go into our gear and see what we have going on over there. Alright guys, so in terms of gear, I like to emulate the way I build my own characters for my companions. What I mean by that is, I like to go and equip her with 2 5-piece sets and a 2-piece monster set. Monster sets aren't really a thing for companions, so of course we'll just call it a 2-piece. So we have 2 5-piece sets and a 2-piece. In terms of the first 2-piece set, for the head and shoulders, we have Prolific in light. That is important for this build because the light armor skill haste can only be activated if you have 5 pieces of light. So of course this is very important in light, but of course the biggest thing about this is the fact that you want prolific. Prolific increases ultimate generation by 13% per piece. That's 2 pieces right off the bat. That's 26% of ULTI-GEN right off the bat. In terms of your first 5-piece set, lo and behold, you have another 5-piece set of light prolific, which again increases the ultimate generation by 13% per piece. So with all of this, you have a pretty substantial amount of ultimate generation right off the bat. But that's not it. We are also triple dipping into the jewelry and weapon with more prolific, and that is simply because the more ultimate regen that generation that you have, the faster she'll be able to keep her ultimate coming. And because of that, I just triple dipped. All of it is essentially just prolific. Of course, the weapon counts as a 2-piece, so just the weapon by itself is a 26% ultimate generation. So this is an absolutely insane amount of ultimate generation just off of the gear itself. That's not counting the parallel skill. That's not counting the haste skill that's going to allow you to use parallel again. So as you guys can see, there's a common theme here, and that is ultimate generation for this build. This build is absolutely insane, guys, in terms of ultimate generation. Absolutely fantastic. Let's go over to the house and check out her fashion. Alright guys, in terms of her costume, she is using the Graceland's Gentlemer Farmer, which I believe is a crown shop item. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's a crown shop item, so just keep that in mind. In terms of dyes, I do have Cold Harbor Ash Black, Mayomer Eyes Gray, and Telvanni Brown. For the weapon, it's the Dark Elf Bow 4, dyes Grot Brown, Grot Bark Brown, I cannot read right now, Mayomer Eyes Gray, and of course another Mayomer Eyes Gray. This I think looks pretty fantastic in my opinion. Kind of fits the purpose and the theme in my opinion. I went with the bow just to keep her at distance a little bit. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys think of her fashion. So with that being said, let's go ahead and see if we can, well, let's go check out a world boss. We're not really gonna fight or do anything. I'm just gonna keep taunt, but the main focus I want is so that you guys can see how fast she is going to be using her ultimate. It's pretty insane. With that being said, let's go ahead and go to a world boss. And there you have it, guys. The ULTI-GEN build has been officially completed here on the channel. This build is absolutely fantastic for anybody who it really is able to self-sustain on their own, but wants that little bit of extra oomph in terms of their own personal DPS output, or if they want to output DPS more higher, I guess you could say, as a group, because her ultimate really does affect everybody in the group. So that is a really good thing for this build. If you're able to sustain yourself, output a lot of DPS on your own, then this build is for you. If you enjoyed this video, guys, do me a huge favor, drop a like on this video. Also subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, because it really does help this channel grow. So with that being said, catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.